Hi, this is Curious Mystics Podcast, formerly Spiritual Mamas Podcast. Together we explore the mysteries of the spiritual world, sometimes boldly,
Sometimes cautiously.
but always with open hearts.
And curious minds.
Let's go. Hello,
Hello.
I'm Aericka.
And I'm Kim. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, as always.
How are you
So,
feeling?
I'm good. I had some interesting stuff going on recently, had some fun stuff going on. I don't think I even showed you. I got my tattoo added on too. I don't know if you can see.
Oh,
So
that
that's
looks really
fun.
good.
Yeah, so the sleeve is almost done, so that's exciting. So that was new, and then I did a drastic change to my hair,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm still getting used to. My family is like, not sure they like it, but um, so in my continued state of what is it, the midlife transformation,
Mm-hmm. You are evolving.
I am evolving. So that's where I'm at.
Amazing. They'll come around, I'm sure.
Yeah, eventually. Then I'll change again and they'll be like,
Yeah. Yeah. Then it'll be something else.
yeah, pretty much.
I
Pretty
was
much.
thinking about that recently of like doing something I don't, not necessarily drastic, but just having some sort of major change happen.
Hmm.
But for me, that's more like, get a whole new wardrobe, which I haven't done since I was like 12. So, you know, it may not be
Do it.
quite the same, but I'm like, oh, I need to do something different.
Do it.
It's funny. The other thing I was thinking too is like how other people see me. It's not something I think about often, but maybe just because of this, I'm like, oh, I wonder if everybody else, like if I just started showing up in, you know, a different type of clothing all the time. Like I'm typically wearing jeans or leggings,
Hmm.
and if I just started wearing dresses all the time, what would they say?
Yeah. I mean, that's me on a daily basis. So I am probably a bad influence, but I say just do it. Do it.
I
Whatever you
appreciate
want.
that. I'll just let them know if anybody says anything. I'm like, Aericka said I could do it, so
Erica said it was all right. So
that's it.
yeah. So this is actually a good segue into what we're going to talk about today because this is just like totally our personalities, and it that just kind of highlighted
Yeah,
two differences in our personalities.
yeah.
And so today we're talking about human design. And have you, Kim, ever heard of it until like we talked about it? I don't know, maybe a year ago.
Before you and I talked about it, I hadn't heard about it. I had no idea what it was. And then we talked about it, and I was like, oh my goodness, there is so much
Mm.
to like learn or unpack there.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I had not heard about it until I was listening to a podcast one day and they were asking the person what their human design was and I was like, "What is that?"
Hmm.
So I looked it up and it is fascinating.
Hmm.
However, it is super in depth. So today we're just kind of going to get into the basics
Okay.
of what it is and how you can use it.
Yes.
Um, and we're going to use our own respective charts
Hmm.
to kind of help people get an idea. So at this point, one, I recommend getting a pen and paper. And two, I recommend that you get your own chart.
Yeah.
So it's the human design it's a chart. It's a body graph is what it's called. And you can generate yours. There's lots of different ones, but the one I'm using specifically is www.humandesignworkbook.com,
Hmm.
and it's designed by the author Karen Curry Parker. And I got a lot of the information is from the human design workbook that she wrote.
Okay.
So, um, I recommend that you do that so that you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
follow along, because it's going to make more sense if you're looking at it directly. So you'll need to know your birth date, what time you were born, and where you were born
Mm-hmm.
to generate the human design. And if you're off by like maybe a couple of minutes, I don't think it's a huge deal, but I do know that one time I put it in with, I think it was like 30-minute difference,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it did make a difference.
Okay.
So,
So
just to
you
kind
want to
of,
be as close as possible to
yeah.
the
Yeah.
actual time.
Yeah. So, what is human design? Human design is like a blueprint for your soul's energy
Mm.
and how you're naturally wired to move through life, make decisions, and interact with the world. It's a combination of elements of astrology,
Mm-hmm.
the 64 hexagrams from the I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, and the chakra system in quantum physics.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's like combining lots of different things
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
clarify
Yeah,
what
so
you're.
it's not like a belief system. It's like using all of these things together.
Yeah.
And what it does is it creates a personalized body graph
Yeah.
that reveals your unique energetic makeup.
Okay. I like not knowing any of that information, but just looking at my human design chart. I like that there are aspects of it that are familiar, that I can recognize, like
Hmm.
things that I would see in astrology or things that I
Hmm.
would see in the chakra system, or, that familiarity is
Hmm.
nice. And then you describing that there's a reason for that because it kind of pulls all those things together makes a
Hmm.
lot of sense.
Yep, exactly. And it contains two aspects: your soul purpose and your life purpose.
Okay.
At its core, human design helps you understand how you best use your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, are you designed to initiate, respond, guide, or wait for invitations?
Mm-hmm.
How you make decisions. Are you more intuitive, emotional, or logical in your decision making? And then your life themes and purposes. What are you here to embody and share with the world? So I didn't do a lot of online research for this. Actually, I did most of it from the book that I have,
Mm-hmm.
but I did type it in and Wikipedia popped up. And I typically do not use Wikipedia.
Yeah.
However, I just wanted to mention this because it's such a condescending definition. I was just going to read it. Wikipedia says human design is a pseudoscientific new age practice described as a holistic self knowledge system. It combines astrology, the Chinese I Ching, Judaic Kabbalah, Vedic philosophy, and modern physics. So I don't know. I was like,
Yeah. It's
eh.
kind of like a letdown.
Yeah, it was kind of icky. I was like, rude. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so, if you are looking at your human design body graph, what happens when you generate this thing? You'll have your birth date, you have your name at the top, and then your birth date, and then it'll have your birthplace, and then it has your design date. And
Mm-hmm.
I found this one interesting. Your design date is when you unconsciously come online.
Oh, I was wondering what that meant.
Yeah, so mine's February 23rd, 1979.
It
So it's 3 months, 4 months, because I was born in May.
3 months.
Prior, yeah, prior.
So it's always 3 months prior?
Yep. Hmm.
Okay, because I saw that and I was like, what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah, so that's when kind of like your soul comes online, I guess.
okay,
And when you're born, that's your conscious self comes
okay.
online. I just thought that was interesting.
Hmm.
So here we go, guys. We're coming. We're doing it now. Basically, if you want to know anything about yourself, about using this graph, these are kind of the basics of what you need to look at first,
Mm-hmm.
because it goes so far in depth. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still weeding through it, and I've been looking at this for over a year. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so these are kind of the main things you need to know. So there's 5 energy types, and each with its own role and way of moving through life. So there's number one is the manifestors. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually the most rare energy type. Only like 8% of the population are manifestors. And they are the initiators, here to spark new ideas and movements. Their energy comes in bursts, and they thrive when they follow their urges and inform others of their actions.
Okay.
So manifestors are actually the only ones that, excuse me, can initiate something. Oh, all the other energy types have to wait for some sort of invitation or like spark to
Okay.
start something. So then there's generators, and they are the builders, and they're here to create and bring things to life with their sustainable energy. They thrive when they do what excites them. They must wait before acting on an idea. They have to have they can come up with an idea, but then they have to kind of wait for confirmation that it's a good idea or that they
Okay.
should go forward with it from like outside of them. It's like a sign or like someone says something and
Mm-hmm.
then they can go with it. And the generators are kind of like they're like the worker bees of the world. If they're into something and they're put towards a project that they are into, they have unlimited energy. They can just go.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then there's manifesting generators, which is a hybrid of manifestors and generators.
Mm-hmm.
And these multi passionate beings move quickly and efficiently when following their passions, and they're a combination of the two. And that's what I am. I'm a mani gen.
Okay.
So we're going to get into that one. And then there's projectors. They're the guides here to see the bigger picture and offer wisdom. They don't have consistent energy and thrive when they wait for recognition before offering their insight. And that's what you are. So we're
Mm-hmm.
going to get into that one. And then there's the reflectors. The mirrors here to reflect the energy of their environment and show the collective how things are going. Their energy is fluid and they need time before making decisions. We're going to come back to that. So the next thing you need to know is your authority. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like how you make your decisions, like how you know whether a decision's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's 5 of those. There's the sacral, which means your gut knows right or wrong, like yes or no, it is. And that's mine's a sacral authority. And then splenic, which means you know what you need inherently, and that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's emotional, self authority, and ego manifested. So you need to know those to know how to use your strategy, which is the next thing effectively.
That's interesting because I find that we've talked about this before, that sometimes I feel like I get in my own way. And anytime that that's happening, I'm like, oh, I know what I should be doing. I have the insight.
Mm-hmm.
I can trust my intuition, but I question myself. And then it's like, okay, maybe you don't need to be doing that. Maybe you don't need to be questioning yourself and just like trust that you know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, mine's very very similar because like I know yes or no, and sometimes I don't listen to the yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes I don't listen to the no, and then I get myself into trouble.
Yep.
So the final thing that we need to know for like this kind of basic thing is that you need to know your profile, and
Okay.
12 of them, and they're 2 numbers, and they're 2 parts of your personality.
Okay.
One you typically know about yourself, and the other one you might not realize about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to go through all of them because there's a lot of them, but mine, I'm a 2-5,
Mm-hmm.
and that means I'm a hermit slash teacher.
Okay.
And you are a 5-1, which is you're a teacher slash investigator.
Okay.
So the idea as to why you want to know this about yourself is that you can understand who you are, what you are, and how you interact with the world and what you're kind of designed to do. And then you can kind of stop fighting against yourself
Mm-hmm.
and start flowing with a more natural rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that after I learned this about myself, I was like, this one makes total sense, shined huge light onto who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, I was like, okay, now that I know this about myself, I feel better about myself.
Yeah.
And also now I use some of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
to my advantage.
I agree. It's not something that I think about often or that I keep front and center, but once some of this was made a little bit more clear for me, it gave me a lot more insight into certain experiences I've had and has kind of helped me to feel more aligned with waiting for certain things to happen or for following my intuition. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it has been really helpful, even just from that perspective. I can only imagine if I was like more um, purposeful with it, what that would mean.
Exactly. Yeah. Alrighty. We're gonna get into our energy. So I'm a manifestor generator, so I'm is a Manny Gen. So as a Manny Gen, you're a powerhouse of energy, creativity, and efficiency. Many gens are multitaskers by nature, here to follow what excites them and pivot when something no longer feels aligned. Unlike generators who move in steady flow, many gens tend to move fast, skip steps, and find shortcuts. You probably feel restless when stuck in one thing for too long. That's okay. I'm meant to try, experiment, and refine rather than follow a linear path. Your energy is at best when you listen to your gut and only say yes to things that genuinely excite you. The funny thing about this is that it's like you don't have to pick one thing. Like you're going 50 miles an hour, you're going 15 different ways. You could start a bunch of stuff. Your role is to start stuff, not necessarily finish it.
Hey, friends, we just wanted to take a moment to remind you all that you can interact with us on social media. We can be found at Curious Mystics Podcast on all platforms.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep showing up for you guys with new weekly episodes and content. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and
Stay
stay
curious.
curious.
I mean, it makes so much sense, but it's so challenging, or I would find it challenging to like sit with that because we do live in a society that's like, finish what you start, bring that to completion. And so,
Right. Yeah. And some of the challenges with being a mini gen is people are like, pick one thing.
mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I don't wanna. Because you do
Yeah.
that and then I'm gonna be sad, I'm gonna be restless, I'm gonna be upset. Um, and I see this in my own life because I at one point I moved 13 times in 15 years. I have had multiple jobs. And then when I am in a job for too long, I'm like, what's next? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for a new job. Um, it's I started this project. I wanted to paint the house. I'm like, all right, let's paint the house. And then I'm like, I don't feel like finishing it.
I'm over that.
I'm like, everybody else can paint the house. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly got something going and juggling in the air. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it drives everybody else nuts. But it's interesting to know that about myself because now I understand that because
Yeah.
I was in therapy one time before I did this, and she was like, you're always got so much going on. Like, you need to just like pick one thing, like da 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 da. And then I read this, I was like, no, I don't. Like, screw
Yeah.
you. No, I'm just kidding.
But I
Um,
think that's also where it comes in handy to have this understanding so that you can lean into that and say, no, this is aligned with me and who I am and what I want to be doing.
mm-hmm. And the idea is that in order for me to know what's aligned with me, I have to try multiple different things. And if it's not aligned, then I'm like, move on. So for you, being a projector, it's opposite. We're very
Yeah.
opposite people, which works out. Um, you're deeply perceptive. They have the innate ability to see the bigger picture, recognize patterns, and guide others efficiently. They often intuitively understand how systems and people work. Unlike generators, you don't have any consistent energy. You don't have a defined sacral center, so you don't have a steady motor to keep you going all day. And you work in bursts and need rest to recharge. You get a lot of your energy from other people.
Yeah. Um, when you ever first told me about this, I was like, oh my goodness, this makes too much sense. I can absolutely agree with all of those things. And it also really frustrated me because it's not what I think I want. I think I want to just be able to get things done and get moving, but I know that I don't have that innate energy that's like consistently flowing.
Yeah, and it's hard too in the society because we're told go, 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 go,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how you work. You
Mm-hmm.
get burnt out very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And then also part of the challenge is waiting to receive the right invitation and giving away intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in this go, go, go society, you're going to want to jump on a job. You're going to want to accept things that you don't want to do
Yeah.
necessarily or aren't good for you, are against your
Mm-hmm.
center, that you're getting kind of like that no vibe. But because you think you have to,
Mm-hmm.
then you take it on and then you get burnt out. And each one of these has an emotional theme, and yours is bitterness,
Mm-hmm.
meaning when you get burnt out or are doing something that you didn't want to do
Yeah.
or isn't aligned with you, you get bitter.
Yeah. That was also very much highlighted when we first talked about this, and I learned this about myself, and I think I've been able to kind of shift that a little bit in accepting it for what it is, instead of what came to mind for me originally the first time that you and I had this conversation, however long ago, was specific instances where I would recognize patterns, I would see the bigger picture, and I would insert whatever information. And then when that backfired because the person wasn't ready to hear it or receptive to it, I would feel bitter about it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am much better about waiting and not
Mm-hmm.
just inserting that information, even if I see the bigger picture. And if the person doesn't take it well for whatever reason, I am better about letting that situation be what it is instead of absorbing it and feeling like I was being rejected in some way.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I know when we talked about this originally, you're like, I have to wait. Like,
Yeah.
like wait. I have to wait for everybody else to just
Yeah.
invite me in. And I get that because it does sound that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about this the other night. I'm going to read this first, and I'm going to talk about that. So you're not here to work. You're here to know others, to recognize them, and direct and guide.
Mm-hmm.
But only happen if one, you're recognized, and two, invited to.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those just make it sound like you're just sitting here just waiting for everybody. Just, hey, now I want your opinion.
Yep.
It doesn't work like that. So my daughter is actually, I ran hers,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a projector as well.
Mm-hmm.
And actually her husband is a Manny Jen. And I was like, that makes total sense. Like, I can see that 100% because I thought him and I were very similar. And I can see this for her. And the way I started thinking about how she is and how she is in the world. And I was like, okay, I can explain this a little bit better. So she, in her job, is in administration. She's an assistant manager. And when she originally was in this job, she was so good at it that people just kept giving her more stuff and giving her more stuff and giving her more stuff. And I kept telling her, okay, are you getting paid for that?
Mm-hmm.
You better ask for more money.
Mm-hmm.
You better ask for a title, because she was doing all of that. So like, to me, that was like part of the projector was everybody was asking her to do stuff, but then she was giving away her intellectual property.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't like using that kind of to her advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And I see projectors as the people. So you're meant to lead. You're meant to like kind of like manipulate. Sounds like a bad word, but I'm not trying to say manipulate in a bad word. I'm trying to say kind of manipulate the energy fields of like the Manny Gens and the generators, and like kind of like mold them in the right direction and lead them in the right direction because they need someone to do that. And that's what projectors do. And again, like you said, you could see that big picture. We can't necessarily see the big picture. So that's when we need you to come in and lead us.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I think one of the ways, actually, very specifically in my day-to-day job, what I have found is that I'm a therapist. So people are coming to work through whatever they're trying to work through. But just because they're coming to work through it doesn't mean they're actually open and ready to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where I have found that I have switched. Just because you come and ask me for help, for guidance, for support, for whatever, information, insight, etc., doesn't mean that it's genuinely the time or that you're ready for it. So if I can see that, then I can take a step back and say, okay, well, I'm going to work at your pace then, because this is going to work better for you at your pace than it is for me to throw this all out there. And that's where it happens, where like, yeah, people can see that and take advantage and say, hey, I'm going to give you more work. I'm going to give you more stuff. I'm going to give you more responsibilities. I'm going to ask more of you. But I'm not actually open to receiving the full benefits of that. And so if I'm not open to that, then you're the one left with all this work and all this responsibility. And I'm just going to let that be. So I have started to take that step back and say, because I'm not necessarily great at like, hey, give me a raise or a title or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I've decided I'm going to like match your energy. If you're ready and willing and open, then that's where we're going to be. And if not, then I will give you little bits at a time until you're ready and willing and open.
There you go.
So
yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
That's kind of how I've been taking it.
Nice. Yeah. So people who are also projectors might be thinking, well, how do I don't want to just sit here and wait for someone to ask me to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So you could try saying something like let's say you want to contribute to this conversation or this idea. You can say, I have some expertise that may be helpful to you. Would it be all right if I share it with you?
Mm-hmm.
If they say no, then you say, all right, well, screw you.
Yeah.
I have some insights about that. May I tell you about them?
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps I could help. Would you mind if I try?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are just kind of some ways to start.
Right. It's kind of
to
like
then get invited.
Right. Asking for permission to be invited instead of just waiting to be invited.
Correct. So that's kind of the interesting between our two different energies there. I just found it very interesting.
Yeah.
Because and I can see it in our dynamic. I bring these ideas like for the podcast or bring these ideas to you and I say, okay, what do you think? And then you make it better. You just like come up with all these other ideas and I'm like, cool, I brought the first idea. Excuse me. And you also
work well together.
Yeah. And then you also rein me in and then I ask you for your opinion and that way you're able to like give your opinion. So I think it works out well. And it's funny because it's always like, I'm always like, wait, what are we recording today? When is this coming out?
I've got
what
it
did
all
it
mapped
happen?
out.
And she's got it all mapped exactly. You have it all mapped out, and I'm just kind of running with it. But yeah, so that's the first part. Let's see. The next part you need to know is your authority.
Okay.
So mine is sacral, meaning I have a defined sacral center. And it's my internal compass. It responds with a resounding yes or no to everything in life. The key is for me to trust my gut's immediate response rather than overthinking decisions. And this is many gens across the board, not just me. So how this shows up in life. If something excites me, go for it. Your sacral energy will sustain you. If something feels like a meh or drains you, it's not for you, no matter how logical it seems. And then your energy is either all in or all out. There's no in between, which is so true. And I could see this in my nurse practitioner job before this current one. I was so not into it.
Yeah.
It did not excite me anymore. I was not interested in it and I hated it. Was I making good money in it? Yeah. Was it a good job? Yeah. Did it make sense on paper? Yeah. Did I want to do it? Absolutely not. And then this opportunity came along to work in the mental health field and everything aligned and it was a resounding yes in my gut. And I am so much happier because it definitely has aligned with more what I want to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily like excite me. I mean, it's something new. Like it is. It's still keeping my attention, but it's allowing me to then do stuff like this, like do the
Yeah.
podcast and do these other things, which really excite me and
Hmm.
really keep me going. So it's kind of like it's still like my little motor back there.
Hmm. For
So
your last job, were you aware of that from the very beginning, that it wasn't aligned, or was it something that you discovered as you went through?
I wanted it to be aligned.
Mm-hmm.
In the back of my mind, I knew
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't what I wanted to do. But at the time, I knew I needed to get out of the other job I was in
Mm-hmm.
because the hours were just not sustainable for me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I knew it was going to be a stepping stone.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a,
Okay.
you know, in
Yeah.
between, but I was hoping that it wouldn't have been you know what I mean? Like I was
Mm-hmm.
hoping it wouldn't have been as bad as it ended up being. It, it wasn't a bad job
Mm-hmm.
just for me. It
Right.
wasn't
Right.
working out. So, let's see. And then yours. What is yours? What's yours say?
It says splenic
Oh yeah, splenic.
authority.
Uh, aha, spleen. All right, so the splenic energy gives you intuitive pulses that help you know when to take action. It also gives you a gut feeling about what you need to do to preserve your health and well being. Um, so it's not the same as sacral. Like it doesn't give you like a definite yes, no, like, but it will tell you kind of like intuitively, you will know kind of in
Mm-hmm.
the in your upper stomach, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, so when we hear a sound that doesn't feel safe, you go into a dark alley at night, or even decide to throw out food from the fridge that seems off, we are accessing our instinctual sense. It is all focused on helping us stay alive.
Yeah, the way that I've always pictured that is that it may not be like a very clear yes or no in whatever situation, but it's those like moments where I look back and it's like, no, I knew. I knew even if I didn't, even if it wasn't like super clear in my face, I knew. I had an understanding or an inkling that, yes, no, maybe, whatever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Have you had a time where you went against that
Oh, yeah.
or for it? I guess either way.
Yeah. I mean, there have been plenty of times where I've gone against it. Actually, generally, what I think happens is that if I'm going against it, there will be bigger signs that pop up, bigger obstacles that pop up. That's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't the right way. Like, slow down, stop, do not enter, turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I usually will switch course in those instances if I'm going against it. And it's like, no, I know that I shouldn't be doing this for whatever reason. And then usually if I'm going with it, I don't have that moment of, oh, I knew, until I get to the conclusion, because it's just smooth sailing. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I'm there, it's like, yeah, I knew that was going to turn out fine. There were no obstacles. There was no reason for me to think otherwise.
Yeah, so that's kind of the root of it too, right? Like the more you're in tune with what you're supposed to be doing, the
Mm-hmm.
more smooth sailing it is, the more flow you're going to be in, the
Mm-hmm.
better, more creative you can be. Like just things are just easier. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the whole idea.
Yeah.
The whole idea. So, so the next thing that you need to know is the profiles. And the profile is like your personality archetype
Mm-hmm.
and it's shaping how you interact with the world. So this is different for everybody. This moves away from just projector or just Manny Gen. So this is based off, our information that we put in. And mine is a 2-5, which, like I said before, is the hermit slash teacher. And some things you know about yourself and some things you don't. This one in particular, the hermit, did not know. So
Mm-hmm.
the hermit needs alone time to process experiences and to reset their energy. Line 2 profiles need space to feel good and grounded. Once hermits have taken time away, other people energetically perceive they're ready to be invited out to be part of the community again. Basically, like your friends and family will figure out that you've been taking too much time away, and then they'll try to draw you out
Mm-hmm.
whenever it's time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this, and I only recently, maybe about, I don't know, a couple of years ago, went through this whole like hibernation
Yeah.
situation, because I always was like a go 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 go, be with people, and then I just ended up taking like a 4 year hiatus. And I did see this though. Like I felt I was ready to come out and start
Mm-hmm.
being with people. And then I was getting calls and texts from people I hadn't heard from in a long time. Like you
Mm-hmm.
and I connected.
Yeah.
Um and a number of other people, like just I was just getting calls out of the blue from people I hadn't talked to in forever. So
Mm-hmm.
to get invited out. So that was very interesting to me. And then the other one is the teacher. Sorry, I should have wrote this stuff down. The problem is like if you look at stuff online, it might say slightly different things because they're using slightly, like they might call it slightly different.
Yeah.
Like when I was looking this up online and I put in just to kind of help
Mm-hmm.
generate this episode, it says the 2-5 is the natural and the problem solver,
Mm-hmm.
and this is calling it like the teacher and the
Mm-hmm.
hermit. So
Yeah.
um so the teacher, the teacher, the purpose is to lead, teach, and inspire,
Mm-hmm.
and needs to be genuinely seen, heard, and valued by others. Drive to experience and learn from life, to share knowledge with others. And fear is not being or feeling truly seen or heard.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to reflect back to others their potential to lead, teach, and inspire others to fulfill their potential.
That
I
makes
like to
sense.
teach, basically,
Yeah.
which is true. I like to share knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then what's yours? Yours
I'm a
is
5-1, so
5-1. So you're the teacher investigator. So the investigator needs information and feels safe when they have sufficient data.
mm,
So the purpose is to be a resource of knowledge, data, and information for others. Needs having enough information to make a good decision. And drive is curiosity.
mm-hmm.
And fear is not knowing enough or fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And your mastery is to follow curiosity and investigate information, building a foundation of knowledge that can be shared with others.
I think that has always resonated with me. That has always been true for me, is like, okay, let me get as much information as I can about anything, whether we're talking about a specific situation or a certain subject or whatever options for a decision that needs to be made or whatever a person needs to know. I've always
Mm-hmm.
been driven to kind of know more and fully feel like I understand whatever it is before speaking on it or making decisions.
So would you say that you knew more that you were an investigator, obviously not the verbiage, but versus knowing you were a teacher, or did you know kind of both? Because you're the teacher investigator, right?
I I have always felt somewhat drawn to the teacher aspect. When I was young, I wanted to be a teacher, like when I
Mm,
was little. Um, so I've connected with that, but I haven't always felt super aligned with it. And I think that has more to do with, now that I have a better understanding of this, I think that has more to do with like needing the invitation to share that information and to
mhm.
teach. Whereas the investigator piece has always, always, always been like, yes, I connect with that.
Yeah. Good. What do you think of that so far?
I think just with that information, there is so much that a person can learn about themselves. There's so much that I learned about myself that, like,
Mhm.
yes, this makes sense. And now that I know this, I could use it to my advantage and work with it, feel more aligned, feel like things are moving a little bit more smoothly
Mhm.
because I'm taking these things into account, which is, I mean, for me, it was very relieving, I think, to initially learn about it. And I think more diving more into it could be very highlighting of what works, what doesn't, how do you keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And you're feeling better about like the waiting to be invited situation.
Yes. Yeah, I think that has initially, when that was not sitting well with me, it was because I was viewing it as like I can't act without being
Mm-hmm.
invited. And I
Mm-hmm.
think now I've come more to the understanding that I can, and it may just look different. It's about understanding. It's not about me being incapable. It's about someone else being maybe not ready or not receptive or not
Mm-hmm.
open, or it's just not the right dynamic.
Right.
So for me to have the most benefit from that situation, it is best for everybody to be ready and on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just started to look at it a little bit differently, and it just feels like it is more aligned.
Good. I just wanted to do quickly because this book actually says like um, if you love a projector, if you love a Manny Gen,
Oh yeah.
like what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
I found kind of like so you can know how to support yourself, but then
Yeah.
also how other people can support you. So anyway, so if you love a projector, what you should know: be supportive, value their insights and advice, recognize their intention is to be helpful,
Mm-hmm.
recognize that they are inherently wise and usually have valuable input, invite them to share their ideas with you, proactively ask them for their opinion or guidance, be open to sexual suggestions. Sex and intimacy is variable for them. Ask them open-ended questions. I'm wondering what you feel about this. I'm wondering if you'd like to blank, blank, blank. Intentionally give them your undivided attention and energy. Provide a safe space for them to just talk and for you to just listen and understand their energy and need for downtime.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we can love you. And how do we love me? All right. If you love a Manny Jen, ask them yes, no questions. Don't tell them what to do. That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That's been true my entire life. You know, the funny thing is that it was to the point if you told me no, I would do it. I never like not to be in like trouble, but like for example, when my husband and I were first together, he was doing oh my gosh, what are those? He was doing Spartan races.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want to do one.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I don't think you can do it. And I said,
What?
excuse me. So I was like, fine, I'm going to do my own thing. And I started doing triathlons instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, so don't interrupt their flow.
Mm-hmm.
Give them freedom to go at their own speed and don't try to keep up. Don't try to make them do one thing at a time. It's correct for them to multitask and skip steps. Just like they inform you, they also need to be informed. Oh, one of the other things that this is one of the best things that I learned from this is that I have to tell people what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just like doing stuff and then being surprised and confused and upset.
Mm.
So I have to tell them beforehand what I'm doing so that they at least are given a heads up.
Interesting.
Yeah. Don't take their frustration, anger, impatience personally. It's part of their learning mastery process. Trust and respect their sacral response. It knows what is truly correct for them. Support and encourage their need to exercise. They need to burn their energy daily.
Mm.
I feel like I'm difficult.
Why?
I feel like there's a lot of rules that you should and shouldn't do.
See, that's not what I took from that.
No? Okay, good.
Oh, that's interesting because you're saying all this, and I'm like, what I'm hearing is Aericka knows who Aericka is and let her be her.
I mean,
And
that's
if
kind of
you're
true.
interrupting that, then that's a you problem and you're going to find out.
I mean, I agree with that. 100%. But that's not so. Okay, let's take it back a step. Manny Jens. That
Mm-hmm.
does not mean that we get to walk all over the world.
No.
Because I feel like there could be a tendency to do that. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
100%. And I have been
Mm-hmm.
I have done that to people. I
Mm-hmm.
have walked all over people, and I will admit that in my younger years, especially,
Mm-hmm.
before kind of like having the maturity to realize, okay, you need to like calm
Mm-hmm.
down and take other people's perspective into things. But yeah, we do have the power to do that. So, all right, that was just my little plug for Manny Jens.
Yeah.
So, um, so again, this is like the basics of human design. There's so much more to it. I mean, there's planetary alignments, there's number alignments,
Mm-hmm.
there's life purpose and soul purpose, and they're on both sides. They have, like, again, the planets and the numbers. There's gates, there's channels,
Yeah.
there's your signature, there's your definition. I mean, there's so much. But it,
Yeah.
and if anybody's interested in us doing like the reflector or the manifester or the generator, 100%, I'd love to do that. But send us a text, send us a message, comment on our
Yeah.
social media or anywhere else on YouTube or Spotify. You can comment, let us know what you, or maybe just in depth on one. Love to
Mm-hmm.
do it. So
Mm-hmm.
let us know if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty cool thing to get into. So let us know if you want to do that. And if you are a Manny Gen or a projector and learned something about yourself today, let us know because I think it's really interesting when we get to like get some more insight about things that
Mm-hmm.
uh, may be instinctual or intuitive that we're not even really paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing this for people. I think it's really insightful. I think it's fun.
Hmm.
So run your stuff, see what it says. If you've got questions, reach out. But
Cool.
yeah. And I don't know if anybody realizes, if you goes to Buzzsprout, you can text us there.
Hmm.
So
I know.
yeah,
My phone is like waiting for a message.
seriously. All right. So I mean, that's the long and short of the
Human
human
design.
design, and I think it's super helpful for people to know, and it's super interesting. So
Yeah, I agree. And thanks for sharing that with us, Erica.
yeah. So until next time.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.